my monitor doesn't have a camera, so.
Okay, we're live.
All right.
Beth, you can make me host again.
All right. We all set, Cindy?
Yes, thank you. Sorry,
Yeah.
Mike.
We shall call the meeting to order at 6:08. And you're all set with your guests, Cindy?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, name guys are bad. Do we have any additions to the agenda? I know Cindy, you said you wanted to add something.
I do. I want to add the LVRT agreement, lease agreement, to be new business item A, 20 minutes.
Okay. Then everything else move down. Okay. Anyone else that would like to add anything to the agenda? Hearing nothing, seeing nothing, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Rutland County will make a motion.
Addison,
And a
second.
thank you, Louis. So we have Rutland and Addison. All those in favor of approving the agenda as amended, say aye.
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 Thank you. Any opposed? Motion passes. Secretary's report. The minutes, I believe, were in your packet or in your electronic transmission.
Motion to
Anyone?
approve New Orleans.
Thank you. And a second?
Grand Isle, second.
Thank you. Any corrections or additions that anyone saw in those minutes? Hearing none, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Where's your report, Patty?
How you doing? Okay, so the report reflects data through the month of October, which is the first month of the budget season. So our budget, again, I'm going to round the numbers, for income is 3.4 million. And last year it was 3.3. So we have an additional 125K, 126K that we're expecting an additional revenue year over year because we want on real TMA numbers this year in the budget. Monthly activity is 106K, and 83K of that came from membership. Versus 2021, we were at 262K or 232K in membership. So we're about half, I would say, of what we were in membership numbers through the month of October. And then the year before that, we were even 44K less than that. So we're on a downward trend a little bit there as far as ramp up is concerned. The year-to-date actual is 106K. And so 2022, we're at 3% of our income expectations versus last year, this time we were at 8%. So not a big number. Expenses through October, the budget is 2.9 versus last year's budget, which was 2.7. So we have about 184K of additional expenses reflected in the budget this year. Monthly activities, 114K. And last year it was 102K. So we're pretty much on point where we were last year on expenses. Year to date, again, 114K, so 4% in 2022 and 2021. So right in the ballpark there. That's it.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah,
question.
go ahead.
Do you need a
Just-
motion first and then a question?
Said that.
No,
Oh,
80
okay, Jim's saying no. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Roger.
So we've only done 83,000 in sales so far this year, whereas last year we were 232,000.
Through October. That does not reflect November numbers. So through October, yes, that is at 83K last year through October. And this year, 83K this year through October. And last year it was 232K.
That's a significant decrease.
Yeah, I think the false sense of the warm weather in October might have delayed a lot of people. I'm going to go with that.
I think Patty's right. I mean, the TMA numbers reflected, I'm going to go over the TMA reports with you after, or, farther down in the agenda. But I definitely recognize that too. And we have done some things, we just did an e-blast. We've done the trade shows and all that, but they're also, I guess there's a lot of spring checks. So people are delaying that way because they're waiting for their sleds to come in, and which we ran into last year as well. But
Any other questions for Patty? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Washington County will make a motion to approve the report.
Thank you, Jeff. And a second?
Rutland
Windsor County will second it.
Thank you, Doug. All those in favor of approving the treasurer's report, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
No, thank you, Patty. Excellent job. No table items. Doesn't look like we have old business, so we'll roll into new business. And Cindy, your LVRT.
okay, so let me go back to Zoom. All right, I'm going to share my screen. So we, since June or July, the state and VAST have been going back and forth with the new lease agreement for the LVRT. And mostly it's been the state working on it and they got it to us in, I would say, late August. And so since late August, early September, we've been going back and forth, and the we for VAST is myself, Ken, and Hans Husey, our attorney. And we've gotten to a point where we think we're at a final version. So I thought what I would do, and I just got this today, this afternoon. So it's not, I've been sitting on it. But what I've done is I've gone through, it's not a lengthy document. And I've highlighted some areas to show you. And then I'm going to email it. I already have it in an email for you along with all the TMA reports. So once we get through this, I will send that email and then you'll have it. The decision that you'll need to make at the end of this presentation and at the conclusion of your questions, I'm looking for either, yes, we're prepared to vote on this tonight, it looks okay, or no, we need a few days to take a look at it and maybe hold a special meeting. But we've got to get this done and signed as soon as possible because our season is starting, even though, again, it wasn't us delaying the process. So if everybody's okay, I'm going to share my screen and get that started. So let's see here. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go to the very beginning. Well, do it this way. There. So, okay. So this is there's a few different pages in there. So this is part of the, this describes the agreement. And then it talks about, so some of this stuff was in there before from our management lease and hasn't changed. So one of the things is I wanted to point out that where rent in consideration of the public service provided by VAST and the statutory role of VAST under whatever the statute is, the state waives payment of monetary rent. So they're not, they're not charging us to use the trail, which of course they shouldn't be because we've already paid a ton of money to be able to use this trail. But I just wanted to point out that they're not asking for any compensation. They are asking for us to maintain the trail in the wintertime, which I'll get into a little further into the document. This lease, this new agreement, this new lease agreement will be an annual agreement. So it's going to be starting, so you can see here, it will retro back to July 1st of 2022 once it's signed, and it will end on June 30th of 2023, which is when we will again go into this. And hopefully we won't have any changes, but if VAST has any changes or the state has any changes, that's when they'll be made, is in June of next year. Prior approvals, this agreement shall not be binding unless and until all requisite prior approvals have been obtained in accordance with current state laws, bulletins, and interpretations. This is language that is used in all state lease contracts. The same with amendments and the same with the termination. Oh, I've been signed out. It's because Mark's coming in. I think I'm still host though, because Mike Burns just came in. Mandy, add him to the list. Let me just write him down. He was already in. Okay. So that's that part of the agreement, and then get to attachment A. So that first part was the body of the agreement, and then there's a few attachments. This is again descriptions. And I want to jump down to 2, which is authorized uses. VAST may establish, maintain, and groom a snowmobile trail along the licensed premises. VAST in turn may authorize its affiliated county snowmobile clubs, affiliated local snowmobile clubs, and their respective members to use and maintain the licensed premises as provided in this agreement. Special events will require a VTrans special use permit. VAST and or its affiliated snowmobile clubs will secure any required permits for special events. I suggest no one try to hold any events on this trail. You're allowed to go riding on it. Here comes Michael Garber, Andy. But you know, when we have the appreciation day at Oxbow Park, the event is at Oxbow Park. You're going to be using the rail trail to get to the event. You know, we'll take the governor for a ride, but it's not a parade, so it's not an event. So just make sure, like, if you're planning on doing some sort of advertised event using this trail, you will need a permit, and you will need at least 6 months to get that permit. So just be aware of that. Local clubs, county, be aware of that. Ken has been keeping the local clubs abreast of different things as we've been going through this process. He hasn't been sending this out, but we will be following up with them to remind them that this is part of the agreement as well, is that they really need to give themselves time for permitting. Snowmobile operations, dates and times. This is basically the same things that we operate under right now. Now, in this case where it says VAST has determined that there is sufficient snow cover, we told them that this is our clubs. Our season opens and our clubs determine. And so they're, in this case, they're considering our clubs VAST as we consider our clubs VAST. So this isn't to say that we're going to open the LVRT all in one day for the whole LVRT when there might be no snow in some areas and snow in other areas. We will still be utilizing the clubs to make those decisions. Pre and post season operations. So we talked about this a while back. So this is that the clubs cannot go out prior to November 12th to stake and sign trails. And all signage needs to come down no later than May 1st. Again, we'll be letting the clubs know all this stuff. And they've already been alerted to this information as well. Ken sent out an email a month and a half ago to let the clubs know. ATVs are not allowed on the LVRT except if they're official club vehicles and they have VAST Snowmobile Club maintenance vehicle signs on them. We have those signs in the office if any clubs need them. I know you guys a lot of clubs already use them, especially LVRT clubs. But we do have those signs provided. At this time, they're not asking for the ATVs to be registered in any way to say that they're officially rail trail snowmobile vehicles like FPR has us do for some of the management lands up in the Northeast Kingdom. But that might change. But right now, it won't change in this agreement because this is the final one from AOT. And a lot of this is just old stuff. Again, no grooming between or before 6 a.m. or after 11 p.m. Same language from when we had the management plan in the past. This is attachment B, which is the payment provisions that we already went over. It's just duplicated in this section, in this addendum. Attachment C, a lot of this is just boilerplate. This is all boilerplate stuff. This isn't specific to VAST. It's just a state boilerplate agreement, lease agreement. Insurance, so their requirements for insurance are in line with what the state of Vermont requires us to hold. So that's good. There is no additionally insured. There's no additional coverage that is required. This, again, this page here is all boilerplate, False Claims Act, whistleblower protections. These are all just regular state added language for leases. The same with this page. Really all this stuff is. And then the last is,
Did you see Ken's comment about grooming? That
No.
grooming is actually allowed overnight as the curfew only applies to snowmobiles?
okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Ken. And then this is attachment D, enforcement plan. VAST shall develop and implement a plan to monitor the overall effectiveness of its policing and enforcement systems, including snowmobile traffic, volume usage and complaints, and shall submit the monitoring results to the state upon 30 days written request from the state. This basically are trail counters and our reports that the law enforcement agencies send me at the end of the season. So this isn't, we're not policing this trail all year round. This is just during winter. It's doing what we already do. And then again, this is the all-terrain ATV language is the same as it was in the other part. And again, additional insurance, no additional insurance beyond limits required in attachment C. And then this is all just about VAST responsibilities. This is about terminating or transferring the lease, how we're not allowed to do that, how parties have to give so much notice if they want to back out. All that is in this portion here, the notification to the state, etc. Defense and indemnification that's what we already have as well with them when we have other contracts for other state lands. That's it. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Okay.
So if this is going to be like an annual kind of agreement that's going to have to be done, what I feel like I'm hearing that the state basically could say to us, we're done and shut VAST down from use of that trail. Is that a possibility that they could do that to us?
Sure, they could do that with any of their state lands. They own the property. Do I think that they would do that? No, I don't. I mean, it would have to be a giant reason for them to want to go to that, to do that, because we're saving them money too. That's the other thing. We're saving them an incredible amount of money by grooming this trail and by maintaining it in the wintertime. The cost that the state would incur to have to do that, they'd have to buy their own groomers and everything. So I do agree that annual, would I rather see a 5-year or a 10-year? Yes. But I don't believe that the reason it's an annual agreement is to eventually kick us off.
I just know that's a question that I'm going to be asked because that is that's a concern in our area, like that is, that they could do that to us. So I know it's just going to be asked. That's why I was throwing it out there.
Yeah,
I
no,
think that's a fair question.
Yeah, it's a good question, Carmen, and that's how you can answer it, is just think how much it would cost them to maintain this trail in the winter. We're doing them a service. They're not trying to put us out of business or kick us off this trail. I do think that we need to do, and we've talked to the local clubs about this as well. We need to do a very good job of putting up speed limit signs. We are making the law enforcement agencies aware that especially near town centers, we need to be out there. They've got radar guns. We need to be slow, make sure that people are following the laws so we don't get ourselves into trouble. And we haven't had a problem thus far since we've been using this trail, but all right, you've got Mike Burns, Kurt, and then Carol, Jeff.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, first I want to share Carmen's concern. I mean, it's a backbone of our trail system up here, so losing it and even doing it annually and putting the time and money in it we put in it, that's a little more than a little concerning. And it's gonna be subject to public whims and politics, but that is a concern. But also, you went through it kind of quick, and I had a little bit of PC problems there, but there was a $2 million aggregate requirement on the insurance.
Yep, we have that. We have $1 million policy with a $2 million aggregate.
Okay, I didn't know if we had the aggregate or not. Okay. Yeah, that's all my concerns. Thanks.
Yeah, and I understand, and I brought that to them. I mean, don't think I did not say something to them about that. We plan to always have this trail like this, and they were like adamant that that was not part of this. It was just they're just, it's the, our responsibility has changed. And I think before it was just easy for them to give us a 30-year lease because we were on the hook to build the darn thing. And we didn't know how many years or decades it would take us to build it. So I think that's why really it's going back to an annual. I don't think it has anything to do with trying to get rid of us.
People change and verbal agreements get forgotten. So that's a concern. I'd still rather have it in paper.
Mm-hmm. Kurt?
So just a comment, I don't see the agreement as any different than just a standard landowners agreement. It's just with the state. I can understand their want for it, on an annual basis. That is all.
My question would be, so the agreement ends June 30th. Is there any way of having after that time period that they would extend it at, there's a negotiation to change the lease to maybe 3 years and then keep increasing it as time goes on? Or is it guaranteed it's 1 year only?
No, I think Carol, that's a great question. And I think that's a definite request that we should make in May and June when we start to work with them. They're very new to this. They've been managing some rail trails around the state, but not really hands-on managing them. And this is all new to them. And also their role with the LVRT is brand new. So I don't think that that's out of place at all for us to see if we can request multi-year. It's not going to be 10 or 20 or 30 like our old leases, but Doug's got his hand up, Jeff, and Roger.
Go ahead, Doug.
I just had a question. On the 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. thing, I never realized that on the rail trail. And I guess I had two questions on that. Is that something that's been policed in the past? And also, is it something where they've had issues with any of that, or is it just something that's in there?
It was part of the original Act 250. There was a landowner in the Danville, Greensboro, Bend area that was very against the trail. So through public hearings and things like that, they established that time period because she was afraid of the noise and the fumes in her house coming in the wintertime. And anyway, so it's nothing new, and it's never been policed. I've never had one complaint from anyone except this one woman.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't part of it though, Cindy, like in Morrisville, the rail trail goes right through like a almost like a residential area, like there's houses like on either side. That's part of the other reason too.
No, it wasn't because of that. It was all this one woman in Greensboro.
Yeah.
It's
Roger.
just like the rest of our trails, because our groomers go by houses all the time. Sorry, Roger.
No, it's all good. Everything you went over sounds decent, and as long as somebody over there, whether a lawyer or Jeff or Mark, has laid eyes on the whole document, I don't really feel uncomfortable about voting for it tonight. But if I'm more than willing to hold off if need be, but I'm just kind of going based on your word. If it looks good by what you're seeing, then this is obviously a pretty large decision, even though it's only for a year. I just want to make sure we're good. If you're comfortable with it and Jeff and everybody else is, then I feel comfortable with it.
I'm comfortable. Ken, are you comfortable?
Yeah, I think this is kind of what we're gonna get, so.
And Hans is comfortable. I would say that I just emailed it to all you guys. I certainly don't mind waiting. Like I said, they're the ones who have put it off for so long. You know, and so if you guys want to wait until after Thanksgiving and call a special board meeting, you know, a 20-minute, half an hour board meeting or something like that, Jeff, for everybody, I'm cool with it. I did send it out to you. And I left the highlights in so you could see what I was pointing to, but you could read the whole document too.
Well, as a county that this goes through, and it's a big part of the trail system in Lamoille County, I don't have a problem with voting on it tonight because I read the original agreement and that thing was really, really long. So this is much shorter. And honestly, the stuff that's changed really is, I mean, it's reasonable and acceptable. I mean, my only concern was just the 1 year with the you know, the possibility, which I've already expressed, of, you know, being kicked off. So, and I think if you or whoever stays on top of that, then I can make it work with the rest of the county.
Thanks, Carmen. Stan's got his hand up, Jeff.
Thanks, Stan.
Yeah, I just would question how much negotiation that you can have with them. I mean, at this point, to go back and say, well, we're all good with this, except for we want a 5-year deal, or we want to remove a curfew or something like that, you probably wouldn't be able to get that accomplished before the season opened. So you've got a year lease in front of us that is certainly manageable for this year. And then if we need to try to address changes for next year, we do it. But at this point, you're only about 20 days away from the season opening. You kind of need to act on it, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't think he heard you. Mike, Jeff just called on you.
Yep. Mike, have you got something else to add?
Oh, he took his hand down.
Okay.
Carmen, that sounded like you made a motion.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to accept, what is it? What are we calling it? The LVRT lease agreement
Yes.
to be, I don't know what, to be approved as presented by Cindy.
That works.
I'll second
works.
that.
Thank
What a
you.
surprise. Thank you, Roger.
Thank you.
Any further? Go ahead, Cindy.
No, that was it. Just thank you.
Okay. I think we've kind of hit on the concern of the 1 year part of it. I guess one question I got is what constitutes a special event use of that stretch of trail?
Like I said, if you're going to do like a parade, if you're going to put signs up and do, it doesn't include work that we do on the trail, like work days.
Dog sled races that they have in the
dog sled races.
Or
any
poker
kind of,
run.
What about a
Poker runs.
what about? Excuse me.
You're
Excuse
not.
me. What about a poker run?
No, you're not holding the event on the trail. You're just riding. So you just have to be careful about, like, you know, I would say do your poker run, but pick out your businesses. Really where they're doing it is like they have like the town library in Hyde Park is doing storyboards for little kids to read. It took them 6 months and the permit came back and it was 110 pages long. And just to put artwork up on the bridge in Morrisville, 88 pages, 6 months to get the permit. So just be cognizant, like we're gonna advertise our event at Oxbow Park and we're gonna put signs, but we're not gonna put them on V-Trans land. We're gonna make sure that they're on, you know, town land. So off the right of way and stuff.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the lease agreement as presented by Cindy? Say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Next up, vast organizational policy update, SMART.
All right, thank you guys, and thank you for your patience. I was late tonight. This afternoon, one of the guys up at camp got a nice 8-point, 160-pound deer, so I had to shoot up there and then get back here, and I made it. Beautiful deer, though. All right, so at our last meeting, we were directed by the board to go back and sort of redo some things in the club in good standing portion of the bylaws that we were, I mean, not the bylaws, the policy that we were proposing. Cindy, since I am actually at your office instead of my own, can you bring it up on the screen for people to go through, and I'll just go through it and review it. Oh, she's cursing my name with her voice muted. Well, your voice is muted though.
All right, I'm just connecting to the office. I was not cursing your name.
Yeah, okay. Well, again, I didn't expect to be here, and it would have been up on my desktop if I'd been at home.
Way okay, it's just connecting. Okay, I'm connected to the office now. Hey, give me a few seconds here to find it.
And I didn't give you much of a heads up, so.
So way okay. All right, let's see. Vast general. Vast policy. And let's go to this one. Okay. You want it, you don't want it with all the
No, no,
markup,
you
right?
don't have to do that. I mean, I can read it, but instead of sitting here looking at me reading it, it'd be probably easier if it was shared on the screen for people to look at while I was going through it.
All right, so let's see, I'm back there. Let me share my screen. Oops. And share.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, so we're on page 12, section 7. I don't think we need to go through the parts where we talked about changing to online sales and stuff like that. We'd already sort of gone through that. And specifically, we wanted to bring up section 7, which we added, club in good standing. The purpose, I don't believe there was many changes proposed to this, but I'll read it. It is vast responsibility to manage the organization effectively and efficiently, to maintain accountability and transparency for all expenditures, including grant and aid. VAST requires all county and individual clubs to be clubs in good standing by following all policies and bylaws. Okay, so next up, part B, qualifications. For clubs to maintain their good standing status, they must comply with the following standard: VAST bylaws, records request as defined in section 8 of this policy and article 2, section 5, right to review in the VAST bylaws, VAST organizational policy, VAST trails policy, VAST signing and signage policy, VAST grant and aid policies. Additionally, clubs must refrain from any other action considered detrimental to VAST as determined by the VAST Board of Directors. C, loss of good standing. For VAST to revoke a club's good standing designation, the following steps must be followed. The club must be notified in writing that VAST has determined that the club is in violation of one or more standards for maintaining good standing designation. The deficiency notification must contain the following: explanation of areas to consider deficient, steps the club must take to come into compliance, date the club's designation will be revoked, steps the clubs can take to grieve the decision. Loss of privileges. If a club has their good standing designation revoked, VAST reserves the right to take the following actions: withhold all funds due the club from TMA sales, withhold all grooming contract funds, including startup payments, withhold all equipment grant funds, withhold all construction grant funds. All decisions to withhold funds or contracts must be approved with a 2/3 majority vote of the Board of Directors. Reinstatement. For a club to regain its good standing status with VAST, it must apply to the Board of Directors for reinstatement. The club must submit evidence proving that all deficiencies that led to its loss of good standing designation have been addressed and corrected. All decisions to reinstate a club's good standing designation must be approved with a simple majority vote of the Board of Directors. Once a club has been reinstated, it shall be eligible for all rights and privileges afforded to all VAST clubs. And then Section 8 is where the right to review is sort of outlined. That came directly from the bylaws. So that's it. That's the part that we changed based upon the direction given to us by the board at the last meeting. Cindy, do you have anything to add? Jeff?
I do not.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
Anybody else? Because I can stop sharing so you guys can see each other. I can't tell if anybody has their hand up.
I don't see any hands up.
So if everyone's in agreement, does anyone else on the committee, Carol, Doug, anybody have anything? No? Okay.
No,
No, I think that looks good, Cindy.
thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
So it sounds like we're ready to entertain a motion.
Will County will make a motion to approve the current VAST or the proposed VAST policy manual.
Thank you,
Grand
Carmen.
Iowa second.
Thank you. Any further discussion before we vote on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Let's see, no, Green Mountain Trailblazers update, Cindy.
So since you've now passed this, so as noted, the Green Mountain Trailblazers emailed me and said that they did not think that it was lawful for us to ask for their books to be reviewed by our CPA, and that they were that we might be contacted by their attorney, and which I have not heard back anything. Now that you have made the changes in the policy manual, I would start my process over again of contacting them and giving them the allotted amount of time that's in the policy to respond again. So that's my recommendation. I also have not alerted the 4 clubs we picked out a couple of months ago. I have not alerted them because I didn't want to get that process started until any updates to the policy was made. So I don't need a motion or anything. I just need is that okay? Are you all right with me starting the process over with the Green Mountain Trailblazers? Not that I think that the end result will differ, but.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah, I think you have to do it. I think you have to do it the letter of the rule that we, to the letter of the law that we just approved. So.
Absolutely.
Okay, I will start that then. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks. Appreciate the support.
Always. TMA
Well-
reports. Oh, Carmen, do you have a comment?
I was just gonna say, worst case is they're gonna have to come to the board.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen again. And let's see, share. Okay, so this is how, and I did just email you these reports, so you have it in an email with the LVRT agreement. So this is how many TMAs we've processed so far. 2,616. And this is a comparison. So we're about half of what we were last year at this time. Now, again, that could just be the weather, you know, how warm it was until last week. We have sold about, because the last time I ran this report, it was about 1,200. So we have sold quite a few in the past 7 days. So I think the uptick is definitely happening. But I will continue to monitor it. This is the count for counties, where the counties are at as far as their sales go. And again, this report is in an email to you. All of these graphs are in an email to you. This dark blue one is a comparison of the totals of last year versus what we have sold this year. Oh, Jeff Porter's coming back in. So again, I asked Beth to build this other comparison report at the end of last week, so we could look at year-to-date numbers. If your club wants to look, you can just look back, you know, or if a club asks you, you can certainly share this graph with them, but they also get reports from us about what their sales are like. So they will have all those from last year, or they should, and they can look back and say, oh, well, in December, okay, this is how many we had sold, or in November, compared to what we're at right now. So, yeah.
What you sent us was as of today?
Yes, it's the same report, which I ran
Okay.
today at 10:04 this morning.
Okay.
I would refresh it, but it takes like 10 minutes for this whole thing to refresh. So that's why I did it this morning. So I'd have it all refreshed and ready for you guys.
Any questions for Cindy? Oh, that was easy. What else we got? Oh, December Board of Directors meeting. This one's mine. Just kind of taking a rough idea if anybody would be interested in doing an in-person board meeting with a catered holiday meal. I know there's still some concern about flu and COVID and whatever else the third one is they're talking about now. And we do have limited space available down in the meeting room. But I just thought I'd throw it out there to see if anybody'd be interested in doing an in-person, or we could do a hybrid with Hootie the Owl. And just kind of get a feel for what people's thoughts might be.
Jeff, I'm assuming it would still be the same date, the 19th?
Yeah, I think
Yes.
it would be.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, Windsor County's interested. I don't know, but I can't speak for anybody else, but Windsor County'd be interested.
Yeah, unfortunately, I do miss some of your ugly old faces.
Why don't you guys, I will send out an email and you can reply to me if you would be coming in person or not. And depending on how many people decide to come in person, we'll decide where we have it. Because if we need to move it to a location where we're not so packed in, if there's a lot of us, we can certainly move the TV and the owl and find another location. So I'll send an email out and you guys respond, and then we'll go from there. You know, the other option is that we could put people into different offices, you know, so we could have a couple of people in my office, a few people downstairs, a couple of people in Matt's office, you know,
That's
we've
no
got Sheila's
fun.
office, Beth's office. So I know it's no fun, but at least we'd be in the same building. We could say hi to
So
each other outside.
you're suggesting hybrid then though, Cindy, right? When you're talking the owl and the TV and stuff.
Yeah, I'm talking hybrid. Because
So
I don't
those-
think, you know, there's so, many of you that live very far away, and you know, to come up just for an evening board meeting where it used to be the norm. It hasn't been for a few years, as we all know. But I'll send out an email and ask you guys. You guys can let me know. And then I'll let Jeff and Mark know.
Awesome. Thank you, Cindy.
Okay.
Appreciate you adding that to your long list of ongoing projects.
It's all right. It's my job. It's way okay.
All righty. Administrators report, trails report, any questions, concerns? I don't think Matt's on, is he?
No.
He's out in the woods somewhere, as I assume.
He's at camp.
Yeah, he wasn't one that got the deer where I was, so.
No, he always takes these 2 weeks off. It's his really only vacation that, that he takes. So no, he's not here, so I don't have anything from him. Ken, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I'm all set.
Okay.
I did want to mention, good job, Ken, on getting the map fixed with that unexpected glitch using Google Images. I was a little bit nervous about that. It didn't look right.
Yeah, it's always interesting, the apps and the technology. It changes underneath us without us changing anything. So
Right.
Seems to be working though.
And we can hear Phoebe in the background. Jeff, Mike Burns has his hand up.
Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, just since you brought it up in that last discussion on the app, one little quirk that I ran into on my GPS when I have the data downloaded. Of course, I also have my regular street data in there. For whatever reason, if I pick the shortest route, it combines them. And I'm on a motorcycle GPS. I'm some on the snowmobile trails. I'm some on the roads. I was trying to figure out what the heck was going on. I couldn't figure it out. And I had to go back and delete the Vast app to get it to work right, because it was going crazy. So just an FYI, some little quirk I ran into.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one, Mike, but we're actually discontinuing offering the Garmin GPS.
Okay.
It's kind of a hassle for us, and like you've just illustrated, we don't really know what we're doing with it necessarily. So we have worked with a few groups now. We've licensed our trail data to them, including GPS Trailmasters and Track Maps, who both offer a very similar product. So we figured since those options are out there with our up-to-date data, we could stop trying to do it ourselves.
That works. Anything else for Ken or Cindy on that?
Or anything.
Or anything? All right, we'll move into committee reports. Mark, risk retention. Where are we at on that? We all good?
We're waiting for claims to come in.
No, we're not.
Not
Absolutely
really.
not.
I was just kidding. We're in the season. We've got our filings done that needed to be filed. I think everyone's gotten their certificates of insurance that has needed them, and at any time, if you have a landowner or someone who wants one, they can call us and get one. And as far as the RRG goes, we're just sort of waiting for the season. How else would you describe it, Cindy? Didn't really have any new news to give on it.
So
No, it's just the original certificates. I think we talked about this last month. Did come out saying $1 million with $1 million aggregate, when our policy is actually 1 million with a $2 million aggregate. So the original mailing did go out with the 1 and 1. So if you need a 1 and 2, just email Mandy or call her, and she'll get that sent. All the ones that have been sent out since the original mailing have the 1 and 2 on it.
Northeast chapter and USA. Pat, were you part of the USA?
I was not. I was still under the weather last
Under the
week,
weather.
so
Okay.
I was not available.
Chapter had a Zoom meeting, or actually a go-to meeting on Thursday. I don't know if anybody remembers back September, there was a hurricane that went through the eastern portion of the
Yep.
country. And it pretty well hammered Nova Scotia and some of the provinces on the east coast up there, to the tune of the Nova Scotia had sections of trail where there were 2,000 trees per kilometer down.
Oh my
Holy
God.
crap.
So that's, yeah. And they're still in the process of cleaning some of that up. They feel they're going to be in good shape for getting trails open for the wintertime. The government has told them that they will be reimbursed for heavy equipment expenses for clearing up the trails. So yeah, that was pretty eye-opening. I remember seeing some of the pictures back when it actually happened. But it's good to know that they're getting compensated for it, and they're getting back on track. So so that's about it from Northeast chapter. Maine is looking forward to hosting the spring ride in February. So and that should be good. Snow Trails Conservancy, Jim, anything?
Nothing new. Got a couple possible easements we're working on, but other than that, nothing new.
Okay. Let's see, law enforcement. Anything
We have some turnover, some sheriffs that didn't get reelected, or some that are questioning the ballots. So we've gotten, I've got about half of our contracts back in, but I need to follow up with Franklin County and Orange County specifically.
Okay. Awards and nominating, Patty. Anything?
Just quick, just the plaques. I know Jeff dropped them off and picked them up for me. So they do reflect all the recipients through 2022. There's a few photos missing of folks who did not attend the annual meeting. I think we've gotten all that to Beth as well. And I reminded Beth that this coming publication and the next magazine to put in the scholarship ad, just a reminder to folks to let your people know March 1st is the deadline for scholarships for VEST. So they'll go in this magazine and the next one. That's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you, Patty. Bylaws and policy, anything else, Mark? I think we pretty well
No, nothing else.
covered that. Okay. Annual meeting, Jeff Halpin. Any news? Any updates? Any weather reports? Jeff?
Well, we've decided on a location.
That works.
It's going to be at Kenyon's Field in Waitsfield. We talked about going back to Forest Field, but we felt we wanted to do it a little bit different place than people have gone in the county, and it's not that far away from where Fars is, so it's not that big a deal off the interstate. There had been some talks with Sled Farm 2. They were willing to redo it. The food, like this year, we figured it was a good match. They did a great job. So the county voted to go with them. And we're also in the midst of lining up vendors and such for to show their wares at the annual meeting. And again, we're holding it the Saturday after Memorial Day this year. Again.
Okay.
That's Labor Day.
Labor Day
Yeah.
or Memorial?
No, Labor Day.
Be
Labor Day.
really early if it was Memorial Day.
Yeah.
I just saw the chat from Dustin. Having attended 4 power sports shows from New York to Maine, I've heard very little negative response. We got a little bit out of Massachusetts this past weekend, but nothing earth shattering. It's all been fairly positive in person. I have seen the stuff on Facebook, and I don't really hold a whole lot of response to what Facebook has to offer these days.
I think Roger put a good explanation on there, pinned it to the top. I know me and Kurt, we've tried to do some, just talk to people, and when they have questions on there, just sort of get out the correct information before people get carried away with VAS is all about money and just wants money and all of that stuff.
No, and the majority of people seem to understand the explanation once laid out.
Right.
Just to be clear, in case someone doesn't know how to get into their chat, these guys are talking about the $25 weekend in the response, in case someone doesn't know how to open their chat or on their phone.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in person, once if they're a little hesitant about it, once you explained it to the $25 is going, directly to the club. And the other reason is the being self-insured, that we need to capture the signature for the liability waiver. It's understandable. And most people are fine with the $25. They figure for 3 days, that's well worth the price.
Absolutely. And as we know with Facebook, the whiners will always whine, even with a good explanation.
Yes, we will. Yes, they will. Nothing from the executive committee. Financial, Patty, you're pretty well covered that. Long range planning, Mark.
Nothing right now. I think we've got to take a look at what we set our sights on next. And I'm not sure what we're going to be looking at, but sort of been dealing with the RRG and all that. And that's next up, is to try to figure out what we need to focus on next.
Sounds good. Personnel, Julianne.
Nothing right now.
Okay. Trails. I haven't heard anything from Brian. My guess is there'll be a trails meeting at some point. I don't know if it will be December or January.
I have not heard, but I know that there hasn't been anything since the last board meeting. So
Yeah.
Matt
Yeah.
can clarify if there's been a set date or anything. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't believe there has, but safety, Stan.
Yeah, Cindy kind of touched on really where we're focused is this ride on January 21st. And when I say we, it's really been Cindy doing the work. But we're getting some things lined up, getting some product. Got potato chips donated by Lee, so got that checked off the list, and lining up tents and things like that. It's gonna come up quicker than we were expecting. I think we're gonna get busy real fast with it. But we're meeting again in December, and we'll probably tighten up some of the agenda and the responsibilities at that point.
And while I appreciate the kind words, don't worry, the committee's going to be sent a list next week of stuff that they need to follow up on.
which is all great, but I think really Cindy has been the driver behind it. She's got
only because I've done it before. That's I've been part of it before. But don't worry, you'll be getting not marching orders, but a task list to divide up.
Like I said, I shook Lee down for 300 bags of potato chips, so we got that item.
That's good. Carmen.
Cindy, so I did get the information that you were looking for, and I actually emailed it to you during this meeting.
Great. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
appreciate it. Appreciate
Not a
it.
problem.
Okay. Anything else, Stan?
That's it.
Okay. Governor's Council, Pat.
You're on mute,
You're on-
Pat.
You're on mute, Pat.
The same
There
as
you go.
all clubs in the association, all the agencies dealing with snowmobiling in Vermont are just starting to get wound up. There was a few discussions on some of the law enforcement stuff, but nothing major. Biggest discussion was on the language that was included in the DMV bill last year that did not get passed. They were trying to get that back into this year's bill. But there are two legislators who are also working on re-election, so we'll find out where we're at here in a couple of weeks.
Senator Kitchell said she would be introducing it into in the Senate portion of the transportation, miscellaneous transportation when it comes to Senate. And Legislative Council has it's Athena, it's already on her radar screen, on her task list to do. So should be no problem going in, as long as miscellaneous transportation bill doesn't get vetoed again like it did last year. That's the whole reason that it didn't go
Right.
through. So we should be good.
And it's not a huge change to the legislation. It's just requiring that you carry proof of insurance while you're riding.
Carmen's got her hand up.
I was just curious because there's a little note in here under the legislative report that says from Brian Smith regarding the property in Derby on Route 114 regarding the Conti federal land. Are they shutting that down or part of that down or?
No, he was getting calls right prior to election, and it panicked him. There is a adjacent landowner to some state land where they were out there this summer resurfacing an existing gravel road. And this adjacent landowner is concerned by upgrading the road. It's going to bring more traffic out to where their camp is. But our trails don't cross their land. So that's what that was about.
Okay.
Yes, they do. Yes.
What?
That was our trails do cross these landowners' property. That's why it was such a contentious issue.
Oh, I didn't know that. Sorry.
Yeah, they were using us as leverage to get the project shut down, even though it's been warned for several years that it was going to happen. So it sounds like our trails coordinator went out there and met with Brian and the commissioner, Herrick, and sounds like they've came up with a plan that has appeased the landowner. And that's not, contrary to what the minutes said, that's not that's not the Silvio Conte, it's the Bill Sladek Wildlife Management Area in Norton. So Holland and Norton.
Thank you, Roger. Appreciate it.
That's all I've got.
Thanks, Matt. That brings us to the end of our agenda. Is there anything else anyone would like to bring up before we go about our evenings?
I'll say goodbye to Kurt. This is his last official director meeting, right?
Yes,
Kurt?
it is.
Thank you
It's
for
your
all you
last
do.
one?
This is my last one.
Thank you.
Kurt.
Thanks, Kurt.
Well,
Nope.
it's been a lot of fun, and I hope to see you guys out there. But
We will. Don't be a
Rutland County-
stranger.
Yeah, we'll miss you, buddy.
No stranger than I am now. But Rutland County is going to be in great hands with Mike Stewart. He's a good guy. I think he's going to bring some good stuff to the table for us. So, Michael,
Well, we appreciate you, Kurt. Thank
gavel's
you.
in your hands now, brother.
Thank you, Kurt. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Kurt.
The
Cheers.
passing
You
of the
guys are great.
torch.
Well, thank
Thank
you,
you, Kurt.
everyone. I hope you have a tremendous Thanksgiving and a safe holiday if you're traveling or even staying at home. No choking on turkey or anything. Yeah, thanks for all you do. Really appreciate it.
And thanks
Thank you,
for
you
your
as well.
opportunity through the years. Been invaluable.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn before we all start leaving.
Rutland County. will
Addison
take a
County
motion.
makes the motion.
We will
Rutland
take-
and Addison.
We will take Rutland and Addison.
Sorry, Louis.
Got it.
That's all right. It's good to
Cheers,
know
everybody.
that Lewis is still awake.
Yeah, barely.
All
Bye,
those in
everybody.
favor of,
Oh,
all those
sorry.
in favor of adjourning, just just go away.
Aye.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Happy
everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thanksgiving, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.